The morning sun filtered through the towering windows of ABC's broadcast center in New York, casting a golden glow over the bustling hot set of The View, where the audience of mostly middle-aged women settled into their seats with steaming coffees and high expectations. Whoopi Goldberg, the unflappable moderator with her signature hats and no-nonsense vibe, kicked off the show with her booming laugh, welcoming the crowd to another edition packed with unfiltered opinions and celebrity spice. Ladies, we've got a doozy today straight from the wild world of Hollywood, where vampires never die and actors chew more scenery than a termite convention, she declared, as the co-hosts filed in, Sunny Hostin with her sharp legal wit, Sarah Haynes radiating that girl-next-door charm, Alyssa Farah Griffin bringing her conservative edge, and Joy Behar, the queen of quips at 83, striding in last with a mischievous glint in her eye, her Italian heritage practically embroidered on her bold red blouse. The hot topics flew fast to politics, pop culture, the latest Trump tweet storm, but the real buzz was the guest slot, Nicolas Cage, the eccentric icon himself, in town to promote his latest indie flick, a surreal noir called Ghosts of the Forgotten Real, where he plays a method actor haunted by his own bad takes. Cage entered to thunderous applause, his wild mane of hair defying gravity, dressed in a velvet blazer over a graphic tee screaming national treasure hunter, his eyes darting like a man perpetually one conspiracy theory away from enlightenment. He plopped into the guest chair with that trademark intensity, flashing a grin that was equal parts charming and chaotic, as if he just escaped a pyramid heist. Whoopi leaned in first, her voice warm as fresh-baked bread. "Nick, honey, you've got more lives than a cat on catnip face. Off, leaving Las Vegas. Now this meta madness. What's the secret to staying so deliciously unhinged?" Cage chuckled, his voice a gravelly rumble honed from decades of yelling at bees and stealing declarations of independence. "Whoopi, it's simple. I don't act, I inhabit. Every role's a possession, a little bit of madness borrowed from the ether. This new one's got me channeling ghosts of real ones, from my family tree, Italian roots tangled with pirate lore." The audience oohed, Sunny nodding appreciatively while Sarah gushed about his rom-com days. Joy, however, sipped her espresso with a arched eyebrow, her comedian's radar pinging on something juicy. As the segment rolled, Cage regaled them with tales from the set, a stunt gone wrong involving a flock of trained ravens that mistook his wig for a nest, and a midnight rewrite session fueled by absinthe and archival footage of his uncle, Francis Ford Coppola. "It's all in the blood," he intoned dramatically, waving his hands like a conductor summoning symphonies. "That fiery Italian spirit of passion, betrayal, a good meatball sub at 3 a.m. Laughter rippled through the studio, Alyssa quipping, "Nick, if passion's the key, you're the locksmith of Hollywood." The vibe was electric, the kind of easy chemistry that makes daytime TV addictive, with clips already primed for TikTok glory. But as Whoopi segued to fan questions, Joy cleared her throat, her Brooklyn accent cutting through like a cleaver through gabagool. "Speaking of Italian spirit, Nick, let's talk Moonstruck, the 1987 gem where you played Ronnie, the one-armed baker with a temper hotter than a pizza oven." Cher slayed, but honey, as a proud Psalma, I gotta say, did we really need the screaming and the saw-wielding? Felt a tad caricatured, no? The room hushed a beat, Cage's intense gaze locking onto hers, a flicker of surprise dancing in his eyes like fireflies in a jar. It was meant as light ribbing, the show's bread and butter banter, but in that moment, under the unforgiving lights, it landed like a misplaced prop sword, sharp, unexpected, slicing straight to the heart of legacy and representation. The audience shifted uncomfortably in their seats, a murmur snaking through the rows like steam from a fresh candle eye, as Cage processed Joy's jab, his fingers drumming the armrest in a rhythm that echoed the erratic heartbeat of a man who'd once wrestled beasts for a living. Whoopi, ever the diplomat, jumped in with a hearty chuckle, slapping the table lightly. "Joy, you're stirring the marinara already." "Nick, don't mind her, she once critiqued my Sister Act nun habit for not having enough bling." The crowd tittered, Sarah piping up with, "Yeah, Joy, Moonstruck's a classic, 3 Oscars, box office gold." Nick's Ronnie was the brooding heartthrob we didn't know we needed. But Cage, leaning forward with that laser-focused intensity that had unnerved co-stars from Sean Connery to Adam Sandler, held up a hand, his voice dropping to a husky timbre laced with genuine hurt. "Joy, I respect the heritage you held. My Coppola blood runs thicker than Chianti." But Ronnie wasn't a caricature, he was raw, unfiltered grief wrapped in garlic breath and bad decisions. "I lived that role, lost a chunk of my soul to it, researching bakeries in Little Italy till my hands blistered from phantom dough." Joy, undeterred and fueled by decades of table-flipping festiness, leaned in closer, her eyes sparkling with that unapologetic firecracker energy. "Oh, Nick, I get Ida Passion's your brand, like Elvis on espresso. But from this Italian mama's view, it played like a sideshow. The yelling, the wooden leg stomping, the whole snap-out-of-it vibe, felt like we were the punchline in our own family reunion." What was that about, really? Method gone mad? Or just Hollywood's lazy olive branch to authenticity? The studio air thickened, Sonny exchanging a wide-eyed glance with Alyssa, who whispered, "This is escalating faster than a Real Housewives tagline," while the audience leaned in, phones aloft, capturing the unscripted drama unfolding like a live-feed fever dream. Cage's face flushed, not with rage but a volcanic simmer, his wild hair seeming to bristle as if charged by static from the ether. He gestured emphatically, nearly knocking over a mug of herbal tea. "Lazy, Joy, I poured everything into Ronnie, the isolation, the fury of a man chained by loss. It's not stereotype, it's archetype. The beating pulse of immigrant dreams clashing with American gloss. You think I didn't fight for nuance? I ad-libbed half those scenes, drawing from Nana's stories of old-world vendettas over Sunday sauce." Joy fired back without missing a beat, her voice rising like a soprano in an opera of outrage. "Archetype, schmarchetype, he looked like Foghorn Leghorn in a wife-beater to me. And don't get me started on the accents, sounded like Scorsese rejects practicing in a funhouse mirror. We're Italians, Nika, not volcano gods or mobster sidekicks." That film's charm was Cher carrying the cannoli, bless her, but your Ronnie? He was the extra cheese that overwhelmed the pie. Gasps punctuated the exchange, Whoopi waving her arms like a referee in a tag team tussle. "Whoa, ladies and gents, we're talking cinema, not candlelight wars." "Nick, Joy's just passionate, it's her love language." But the die was cast, the banter morphing into a bare-knuckled bout of cultural critique, with Cage's eyes blazing like the fires of Mount Vesuvius, and Joy's grin defiant as a matriarch guarding the recipe book. Backstage, producers fidgeted with clipboards, whispers of ratings rocket mingling with damage control drill, as the other co-hosts shrank back, unwittingly woman in this showdown of stars. The cameras rolled on, merciless, turning personal pride into public spectacle. The line between jest and accuse blurring faster than an espresso shot in hot milk, as the volley intensified, a Cage defending his visceral commitment, Joy retorting with tales of real Brooklyn bakers who'd sooner slap you than saw a table. The tension coiled like a spring-loaded cantaloupe, poised to burst and spray cream across the set. The hot lights hummed overhead like judgmental cicadas as the clash crested, Cage surging to his feet with the dramatic flair of a man auditioning for his own biopic, his velvet blazer flapping like a cape in a B-movie gale. "Enough, Joy." You sit there, week after week, slinging shade from your co-host throne, reducing decades of sweat and soul to a cheap zinger about accents. Moonstruck wasn't just a giga, it was my bridge to the old country, a howl against the silence of forgotten kin. If that's caricature to you, then fine, but don't pretend your critique's gospel. It's just one loud voice and a choir of applause. The audience erupted in a split reaction roar, half cheering the underdog actor's stand, half murmuring in shock at the unraveling decorum as Joy rose to, undaunted, jabbing a manicured finger toward him with the precision of a nonna wielding a rolling pin. "Loud, honey, I've been loud since before you were stealing faces." "And gospel? Please see, I'm the congregation that actually lived the stereotype you're peddling." Ronnie Cameri wasn't passion, he was pandemonium, a hot mess that made every Italian Andy cringe from Bay Ridge to Bensonhurst. "You want bridge to the old country? Try subtlety over scenery, chewing a less, I'll blow up the bakery." "More past the Parmigiano." Whoopi hammered her gavel mug on the table, her voice booming over the fray. Time out, time out. This is The View, not the vendetta. Sit your butts down before we need a referee and a reconciliation pizza. Sarah and Sunny flanked Joy, gently tugging her sleeve, while Alyssa mouthed epic to the camera with wide-eyed glee. The live feed capturing every furrowed brow and flying gesticulation. But Cage, adrenaline surging like a bad acid trip flashback, snatched his script pages from the table, crumpling them in his fist. Subtlety? That's your game. Joy Barb's wrapped in bows. I've built a career on bold, on breaking molds, not tiptoeing around like a polite tourist in Tuscany. If Moonstruck offended your sensibilities, good art should provoke, not pander. With that mic drop declaration, he stormed toward the exit, weaving past stunned stagehands and a tray of untouched biscotti, his security shadow trailing like a reluctant extra. The door slammed with theatrical finality, echoing through the stunned silence, as Joy slumped back into her seat, fanning herself with a fan mail envelope. Well, that escalated quicker than a gabfest at my cousin's wedding, she quipped breathlessly, drawing scattered laughs amid the chaos. Cut to frantic commercial-theme music blaring as crew swarmed like ants at a picnic while social media detonated. Cage vs. Behar trended globally within heartbeats, clips dissected by TMZ vultures and Reddit rabbles alike, pundits piled on by newness, some crowning Cage the defender of dramatic license, others saluting Joy's unfiltered authenticity as peak View anarchy. By evening, headlines howled, Cage crumbles can lie on The View, Behar's Moonstruck mauling goes nuclear. With view counts skyrocketing past Vegas heist alleys, back in his hotel suite overlooking Central Park, Cage paced with a tumbler of bourbon, replaying the tape on his laptop, a rueful smirk cracking his intensity. She got me good and Anna woulda loved the scrap, he muttered to his reflection, already plotting a comeback tweet laced with Coppola cameos. Joy, meanwhile, debriefed over calamari with Whoopi, chuckling through the producer's apologies. Drama's the spice, Dala without it, we're just yakking over yogurt. And in the grand theater of tabloid tango, the eruption faded to folklore, another notch in the belt of unscripted infamy, where one heated heritage hurl birthed endless echoes, reminding all that in the spotlight's glare, even legends leave a little sauce on the table.